Today's topic for discussion is foreign direct investment. Here in this foreign direct investment, FDI in world economy, horizontal and vertical FDI, benefits of FDI to home and host countries, and FDI Indian scenario. These are the topics to be discussed under this head, foreign direct investment. Before getting into the topic foreign direct investment, let us see some of the examples what exactly happened in this case. Take for example Toyota company. Toyota originally used to export cars to the USA. The government of United States of America imposed tariffs on cars imported, resulting in increase of Toyota car prices by 200%. Then the US customers found that cars manufactured in the USA were cheaper than the imported cars, and as such, the demand for Toyota cars declined drastically. Then Toyota adopted the strategy of locating its manufacturing plant in the USA by direct investment. Thus, direct investment is another mode of doing business in a foreign country. Another example, Bridgestone tires. So Bridgestone Tire Company, a Japanese multinational company it is the world's largest manufacturer of rubber products. Bridgestones decided to diversify geographically because its management believed its competitive advantage was more specific to the production of tires. Then it adopted the strategy of direct investment in some countries, including the USA. It purchased Firestone's tire operations. This deal gave Bridgestone 5 North American plants, which supplied 40% of the tires for North American vehicles built by Ford and 21% of those built by General Motors. So Bridgestone selected the strategy of direct investment because of some reasons. The USA government imposed restrictions on tire imports. Bridgestone had a bitter experience of licensing strategy. From Goodyear. Bridgestone used to manufacture tires for Goodyear on license agreement, which enabled the Bridgestone to gain the technical knowledge of the Goodyear and use this for its competitive advantage. So as such, Goodyear terminated the contract with Bridgestone. Bridgestone favored locating in growth markets in order to consolidate in the industry. Thus, business used to enter foreign markets after successful operation in domestic market and export to foreign markets. But a new trend took place after globalization. Some companies in recent times are starting business both in home country and foreign countries simultaneously. So let's now discuss the meaning of foreign direct investment. What is foreign direct investment? Companies invest in foreign countries in order to gain the companies invest in foreign countries in order to gain control over the market and thereby increase sales. Market control is possible by establishing control of managerial decision making through investment in equity share capital. So, what would be the percentage of shareholding a company should have in a foreign company in order to have control of managerial decision making? So it is viewed that even 100% share may not guarantee control on, as sometimes government dictates terms of control. So investments in foreign securities, bonds and other non-voting portfolio investments do not form foreign direct investments. So US government statistics define foreign direct investment as ownership or control of 10% or more of an enterprise's voting securities or the equivalent interest in an unincorporated US business. So generally it is stipulated that ownership of a minimum of 10 to 25% of the voting shares in a foreign company allows the investment to be considered direct. So the investment made by a company in view of in new manufacturing and or marketing facilities in a foreign country is referred to as foreign direct investment. Investment made by Enron in power plant in India is an example of FDI. The investment made by a company in a foreign country over a given period, for example 1 year, is called flow of foreign direct investment. So the total amount of investment made by a company in a foreign country up to a given time is called the stock of foreign direct investment. The outflow of foreign direct investment is called outflows of foreign direct investment and inflows of FDI is called inflow of foreign direct investment. So generally it is stipulated that ownership of a minimum of 10 to 25% of the voting shares in a foreign country or foreign company allows the investment to be called or considered direct. So what is this foreign direct investment? The investment made by a company in new manufacturing and or marketing facilities in a foreign country is called foreign direct investment. So this is the meaning of foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment in the world economy. Foreign direct investment in the world economy. So the flow of FDI refers to the amount of FDI undertaken over a given time period. You have seen that inflow and outflow of FDIs. So the stock of FDI also is seen. It refers to the total accumulated value of foreign owned assets at a given time. The outflows and inflows we have seen. The outflows of FDI refer to the flow of FDI out of a country. Inflow is flow of FDI into a country. These are the outflows and inflows of foreign direct investment. So trends in foreign direct investment. Here, flow and stock increased in the last 20 years, particularly after 1991, where the economic reforms and integration of national economies with the world economy happened on a large scale across the globe. This flow and stock increased heavily. So in spite of decline of trade barriers, FDI has grown more rapidly than world trade because of these reasons. Businesses fear protectionist pressures. FDI is seen as a way of circumventing trade barriers. Dramatic political and economic changes in many parts of the world. Globalization of the world economy has raised the vision of firms who now see the entire world as the market. These are the trends in foreign direct investment. So if you see this, this flow of foreign direct investment, the FDI flows have increased dramatically in this during this last 25-30 years, with a rapid growth during 1990s. The outflow of FDI was more than 15 times after 1990 compared to that during 1970s. So it increased from 564 billion US dollars in 1980 to 8,981 billion US dollars in 2007. Now you see between this 27-year period, the increase in outflows, the foreign not outflows, so foreign FDI flows increased from $564 billion to 8,981 billion dollars. So the flow of FDI is expected to increase further once the world economy picks up from its recession in advanced countries. So advanced countries were the major players in the flow of FDI. So they were the predominant providers and recipients of FDI, as 84% of FDI was provided by advanced countries, and they received 69% of the FDI in 2007. So it indicated that developing countries provided only 16% of total FDI and received 31% of total global FDI. So USA was the largest provider as well as the recipient of FDI, followed by the UK in 2007. The emerging economies are now receiving high FDI than what they received in 1980s. However, a few countries like China, Hong Kong, Brazil, Mexico, India, and Singapore, these countries are receiving over 50% of FDI among developing countries. So the UK is the world's second largest provider of FDI. Investment in overseas securities accounted for nearly 25% of the UK pension funds assets under management in 2007. The UK was also a major recipient of FDI, and it was the second largest in the world and the largest among European Union countries. So US direct investment abroad was 1,720 1 lakh, no, 17 lakh 20,965 million US dollars in 2007, out of which it invested 5,678 million US dollars in India in 2007. So while US received an investment of 15 lakh 20,965 million US dollars from other countries in 2007. So this is the trend of foreign direct investments. Slumping FDI. So between 200 and 2000 and 2004, the value of FDI slumped almost 50% from 1.2 trillion US dollars to about 620 billion US dollars because of recession. So the slowdown in FDI flows has been most pronounced in developed nations. The slowdown is probably temporary and reflects three developments. One is general slowdown in the growth rate of the world economy, heightened geopolitical uncertainty following the September 11, 2001 attack, bursting of the stock market bubble in the US. These were the reasons for the slowdown of this FDI flows. You can just have a look at this trends. 1982 to 86, the 2004 figures are available. These are the US dollars in millions. The highest in 2000 because of recession. There was a slump during this period, this 4-year period. So the direction of FDI. Historically, most FDI has been directed at all the developed nations of the world, as firms based in advanced countries invested in other markets. As we have seen that US has been the favorite target for FDI inflows. But developed nations still account for the largest share of FDI inflows. FDI into developing nations has increased. As I gave you some of the examples, China, Brazil, Hong Kong, Singapore, India, Mexico. So they have received almost 50% of FDI among the developing countries. While the most recent inflows into developing nations have been targeted at the emerging economies, particularly South, East, and Southeast Asia. The gross fixed capital formation summarizes the total amount of capital invested in factories, stores, office buildings, and so on. So this makes FDI an important source of capital investment and a determinant of the future growth rate of an economy. Even the last tenure of the present union government allowed more than 50% of FDI even into retail sector. You can see that we have a glance over this FDI flow by region. Blue is developing nations. Maroon is developed nations. Saffron color. From 1994 to 2004, 10-year period, particularly after 1990. So during this period, 98 to 2000, drastic increase in the flows of FDI. Okay. Developed nations inflows all this. So gross capital fixed debt formation, developed and developing nations during this period, 92, particularly after 1990s. So compared to the previous one, capital fixed formation, developed and developing nations more or less equal during this period. Source of FDI. These are the sources of FDI. Advanced countries, as we have seen, United States, United Kingdom, UK, Netherlands, Germany, Japan, and France. So United States almost $900 million. United Kingdom, next. France, third place. So these countries are the sources of FDI. So the form of FDI. Forms of FDI include the greenfield operation, mergers and acquisitions. These two broad classifications. Greenfield operation, mostly in developing nations. Mergers and acquisitions, quicker to execute. Foreign firms have valuable strategic assets, believe they can increase the efficiency of the acquired firm. More prevalent in developed nations. So these forms of FDI include purchase of existing asset in a foreign country. That's one way. New investment in property, plant, equipment. This is another form of FDI. Then participate in a joint venture with a local partner. That's another form of foreign direct investment. And transfer of many types of assets like human resources, systems, technological know-how in exchange for equity in foreign companies. For example, Westin Hotels transferred reservation systems, managers, and cost control systems. So sharing of any other resource is also a form of foreign direct investment. Always it need not be in the form of fund. Any source, any resource can be shared. So that is a form of foreign direct investment. Then another form of FDI is export of goods for equity. So this method may not be used in the initial stage of the establishment of a company. Then the other form of FDI is through trading in equity. So companies also invest in the equity of foreign companies by purchasing the equity shares of a foreign company. For example, KLM of Netherlands acquired the equity of Northwest Airlines of USA by giving the KLM equity shares to the Northwest Airlines owners. So while purchasing, the company can issue equity shares, not the money. That's a form of foreign direct investment. So we have for this the international investment theories like ownership advantage theory, internationalization theory, Dunning's eclectic theory, factor mobility theory, product life cycle theory, like that. Just like we have theories for international business. So the shift to services. Here the shift to services is being driven by four factors. One is reflects the general move in many developed economies away from manufacturing and towards service industries. Many services cannot be traded internationally. Many countries have liberalized their regimes governing FDI in services. The rise of internet-based global telecommunications networks has allowed some service enterprises to relocate some of their value creation activities to different nations to take advantage of favorable factor costs. These are shift to services. We have seen that horizontal and vertical FDI. So horizontal direct investment. So FDI in the same industry abroad as company operates at home. So when an Indian company invests in a foreign company, which is in the same line, that's horizontal. Say for example, if uh, Infosys invests in any other foreign company, IT company, then it is a horizontal example of horizontal foreign direct investment. So if one company of a country invests in the same similar company of another country is called horizontal direct investment. So here FDI is expensive because a firm must bear the cost of establishing production facilities in a foreign country or of acquiring a foreign enterprise. FDI is risky because of the problems associated with doing business in another culture, whether the rules of the game may be different. This is horizontal FDI. So market imperfections, these are factors that inhibit markets from working perfectly. So in the international business literature, the marketing imperfection approach to FDI is typically referred to as internationalization theory. So this international theory uh, what it says that companies with domestic competitive advantage enter foreign markets to utilize their assets. So the ownership advantage theory states that companies with the domestic competitive advantage enter foreign markets to utilize their assets. It fails to explain the means of entering foreign markets to exploit the ownership advantages. But internationalization theory solves this problem. Companies enter foreign markets through various means like licensing, franchising, exporting, etc. By entering a contract with the foreign firms, so the domestic companies have to negotiate, monitor, and enforce a contract which involves a transaction cost. So internationalization theory states that the domestic company enters a foreign market through FDI when the cost of transaction with a foreign firm is high. So the domestic company under these conditions internalizes its production, marketing, and other operations in foreign markets through FDI. So I gave you the example of Toyota. Toyota could not shift its no, manufacturing or licensing to a foreign firm as it involves a high cost of transactions. Therefore, Toyota internalized its US operations through FDI. In contrast, McDonald, another example, and Federal Express entered foreign markets through franchising as they could shift their competitive advantages, including brand names, to their franchises in foreign countries. So there is international internet theory, this international internalization theory. So with regard to horizontal FDI, market imperfections arise in two circumstances. When there are impediments to the free flow of products between nations which decrease the profitability of exporting relative to FDI and licensing. So when there are impediments to the sale of know-how which increase the profitability of FDI relative to licensing. Horizontal FDI, when transportation costs for a product are high, market imperfections that as per internalization theory, impediments to the free flow of products between nations, impediments to the sale of know-how. When it follows the lead of the competitor, strategic rivalry. And product life cycle, however, does not explain when it is profitable to invest abroad. Location, specific advantages, natural resources. Opposite to that, vertical FDI. So vertical FDI takes two forms. One is backward vertical FDI is an investment in an industry abroad that provides inputs for a firm's domestic production process. So vertical FDI, say for example, a company may need some